Hello fellow human! Welcome back to another Dank Doggo / ChoosingBeggar videos. Do you guys make your own coffee at home, or would you prefer expensive ones at Starbucks? Let's start with the first story. Free regular coffee isn't good enough. Make me a free fancy coffee. This was several years ago, but I was thinking about it today. At one of my first jobs, I work at a small local coffee shop. A big storm had rolled through overnight and knocked out power all over the county. When I got in that morning at opening, we had power, but the outage had messed up the credit card line. We called it in and were put on a wait list to get it reconnected. A power outage in the morning means a busy coffee shop. People can't get their caffeine fix at home and would come to the shop. We quickly realized that many people didn't carry cash and we couldn't take credit. Being a friendly local coffee shop, a sign was put up saying something like, "Sorry, we can't take credit cards right now because of the storm. Have a regular coffee on us. Cups by the carafe." Most people were pleasant, many with cash tipped well. Then came in a middle-aged man. He stared at the sign and then he said he wants some fancy coffee drink. He was given the price and tried to hand over a card. He was told we can only do cash at the moment. He said he doesn't have any. The barista behind the register apologized and told him that he could get a free regular coffee from any of the pots, light, medium, dark, or French were all of the options, and that there was cream and sugar available. He threw the absolute biggest fit. "If you're already giving away coffee, just make me what I want." And, "It's your fault the machine is not working, so just make me my coffee." And all sorts of, "Well, I'm a regular, open a tab." Barista, do in fact know if you're regular, and he was not. After a few more minutes of ranting, he stormed out without coffee, telling us he wouldn't be back. Tip your baristas, they put up with some crap. How on earth is a power outage is barista's fault? We have the second story written by /Aurel Caria 2024. Free school equipment and swimming lesson is not enough. Every year, I make up 4 school packs for my school to be given out to whomever the school thinks needs it. The school gives me the ages and whether it's a boy or girl, but other than that, I don't know anything about them or who the recipients are. It's usually a school bag, official school logo bag, lunchbox, drink bottle, pencil case, assorted stationery, a school jumper in the appropriate size, we have compulsory uniforms, a school hat, a few picture books, and a note that their school swimming lessons that year have been paid for. All up, each pack cost me around $120 to put together. This year, the principal showed me an email that they received from a parent who received one of the packs. Her complaints were, the lunchbox didn't have a particular character that her son liked, it was just a plain blue one. The drink bottle wasn't personalized with his name on it. Why did I give a school jumper instead of brand name jumper instead that he could wear outside of school? An iPad would have been much more useful than the books because he can watch YouTube on it. He doesn't like reading. The scissors were not left-handed scissors. And why did her high school child, who attends a completely different school, also not get given a set? Why weren't all the school excursions for the year paid for and not just swimming? She assumes that the camp fees have been covered and that I forgot to put a note about it. It would have been better just to give her money and then she could have picked things her child wanted. I told the principal that under no circumstances is her family ever going to receive one of my bags. By the way, not one line in her email included the words thank or you. The principal should have contacted the beggar and tell her to return the pack. He can do this and giving it to someone else. Next up, we have the third story shared by /Noj Danzig. Delayed Reaction CB. About 15 years ago, I was selling my old 2-doors car and upgrading to a 4-doors for family reasons. I had my old car for 10 years and loved it because it had got me through thick and thin with very little layout of cash for repairs, so this was a pretty undesirable position for me. My wife at the time was adamant that we had to get a bigger car though. Around this time, my brother, who lived around 20 miles away, had rented his own car off and was looking for a cheap replacement for a year. So I decided to help him out by selling him my car for around like 100 pounds. It was worth 3 times than that and was a very good runner, so there would be little outlay in repair costs due to the recent MOT pass. Everything went swimmingly for 9 months until my brother decided he had saved enough money to upgrade his car to a bigger one for his family. In a similar move, he sold the car to his friend who lived next door to him. This friend, who was always sponging off my brother, had only paid half the cash for the car. Again, one excuse after another would follow, leaving my brother bored of runaround and just trying to keep his friend sweet. Now, it took a further 8 or so months to get to the CB part, so here goes. One morning, out of the blue, I get a phone call off my brother. Bro, there's a problem with fuel pump on your car. Me, how do you work that out since I haven't seen you for ages? Bro, no, I mean the car you sold me. Dave says it stopped working and his mechanic friend says he needs a new one. Me, you mean a car I sold you almost 2 years ago is having issues and you want me to pay to repair it? Bro, yes, well no, but Dave is here waiting for you to come around and sort it out for him. You said it was a good runner and now it's not running, so he says that's your fault. Me, what? You're pulling my leg, right? Bro, no, Dave is listening in and is pretty serious about it. He's not very happy about it. Me, you have no ducking chance. Tell Dave that it's sold as seen to you. I have nothing to do with it now that you have sold it on. Jeez, man, tell him that I said he can duck off. Bro, he's not very happy about your attitude and will change your mind the next time he sees you. Me, tell him I'm not a donkey and I'm not paying for his breakdown costs in the future either. Bro, thanks for nothing. Me, you're welcome. Well, the problem with this story is that there are actually not one, but 2 choosing beggars. Poor OP for helping out his bro. Moving on to the 4th story shared by you/Rachel, please. Highly respected professional expected me to do the extra work for 0 compensation. TLDR, well-known author and politician asked me to illustrate 2 books for her. Doesn't pay me twice. This has fortunately been the only choosy beggar I've ever had to deal with in my 6-year plus of being a fine artist. About 3 years ago, I was contacted to illustrate a children's book. The author is a well-known, well-respected professional and politician in my state, and the pay was about $1,200 for about 20 pages of professional illustrations. This was my first children's book illustration gig, so I was stoked and was afraid to ask for half up front as I was a bit naive and intimidated. I completed all the illustrations, met with the author, and she went wild over it. She said she would be in touch about payment and when the book will be published. Fast forward about 5 months, she finally reaches out to say that the book wasn't able to get published and that she is upset as she was looking forward to it. So I'm like, oh, that sucks, but I'm still gonna be paid, right? Nope, she wasn't going to pay me. I should have stood my ground and been adamant about getting paid. But I was a young artist and didn't want to burn a bridge with an accomplished author and professional, so I remained civil and chalked it up as a learning experience. I really should have cut my ties with this woman right then and there. Well, back in January, I was contacted to illustrate a political children's book for her. It wasn't really kind of my thing, but I agreed because I'm now more experienced and not afraid to stand on my ground and demanded I get paid. The gig was $1,000 for 20 pages of artwork. Cool, but this time I demanded half up front and the other half when I complete the drawings. She agrees and I get paid $500, cool hard buckaroonies. Awesome, this is going great so far, or so I thought. I completed the 20 drawings, met up with her and the co-author, and they went nuts over them, said they are perfect, blah blah blah. I asked if anything needed to be changed and they said no. Cool, I was paid the rest of the $500. I thought this was a job well done, and I was glad I decided to give her another chance. Maybe the last book was just a fluke and she's actually good for her word. Nope. Fast forward to April. They need 4 additional pages done for the book. I said, cool, that will be an additional $200. She was flabbergasted. Excuse me, we already paid you $1,000 and you agreed to do the artwork for this book. You cannot ask for more money. She paid me to do 20 pages for $1,000, that is $50 a page, which is a hell lot cheaper than most every other children's book illustrator I know. So I explained that I needed to be compensated for these extra 4 pages. She said she has no money to give, which is BS because I know she's loaded. And that without these 4 drawings, we will not be able to complete the book. Again, stupid me, not wanting to burn the bridge with this well-known woman, obliged and decided to create the 4 extra pages. She was happy. Cool, whatever, I still got 1 grant and another publication under my belt. This, however, was not the end. In August, she asked me to change 2 of the drawings I had already done. Now, remember, I asked her back in January if anything needed to be changed, and she said no, they are perfect. I was traveling during this time and wouldn't be able to complete them until October, and that would only do them for $100. She, surprisingly, agreed to these stipulations. I come home, I get the artwork finished, and let her know it's done, and tell her to please send over the $50 before I email the artwork to her, as I had a feeling she wasn't going to pay me. I wait and wait and wait and wait. No response until this evening. I got a text from her saying that she has not received my artwork and wondered where it was. I tell her I had completed it and I was waiting on half up front before I sent it over to her. She freaked out on me and claimed that she was going to pay me for the extra work, but it wasn't a definite maybe. She was maybe going to pay me for my work. I about to lose my crap. She claimed I'm unprofessional and is disappointed in me and that she thought that she was doing a young artist a favor. I replied I don't do artwork with the promise of maybe getting paid. I then told her about all the previous times I was disrespected by her and felt as though I have been taken advantage of as a young artist. I told her I will no longer send over the artwork and for her to not to worry about the payment and that our professional relationship ends here. I'm still shaking from anger and fear, as I'm afraid she can ruin my reputation among other authors and artists. But overall, I'm glad I finally stood up for myself, even though it took about 3 years. For your information, she also claimed that she was going to help propel my career as an artist. She knows so many authors and will recommend me to everyone. That was 3 years ago, and I haven't got any business from her. I think she was lying to me or guilt or pressure me into continuing to do free work for her. I mean, if this woman, who is really well known, didn't pay OP for her first book, then this story can be forwarded to the local news. The 5th story is shared by /Gwindian Had literally hundreds of situations like these as hotel employee. During my university days, I worked as a night auditor. I have dealt with my fair share of choosing beggars, but situations like the following were the most common. I work in a city with a lot of summer tourism and a big theater festival lasting 2 months in the summer. Especially during the festival, choosing beggars were a dime a dozen. An example I remember, well, would be this one. During the summer, between the festival and the hordes of Asian tourists, the towns and the hotels are pretty much booked to the capacity each night all summer. Sure, you do have few cancellation or no-shows in the end, but we seldom had more than 2 or 3 rooms available like that during summer. The choosing beggar in question arrived the first time shortly after midnight. He inquired what a room for him and his pregnant wife would cost. I told him what I had available and showed him the picture on my computer screen and what it would cost. He accused me of highway robbery and said he would never stay with us if I didn't lower the price substantially. We had some leeway with prices, and because it had been hot all day and was light at night, I forgave the choosing beggar's flippant tone and lowered the price a little. Still, not low enough for the choosing beggar. So, cursing me, he went on his merry way trying his luck in other hotels, which were just as booked as us, and mostly had higher prices. So, an hour later, he was back, asked me if I was willing to knock something more off. I wasn't, so he left again. Around 3:30 or 4 a.m., he was back again. When he was there, before I had 3 or 4 rooms left, now I was down to a room for 1 person, and 1 double room with 2 beds we normally give out last because it is the tiniest 2-person room we had. At this point, I need to say that the owner's wife was an interior designer, and the owner let her plan the rooms, so every freaking room looked different. On top of that, it was an old historical building the hotel was in. So the rooms all had different layouts and the amount of space available as well. The choosing beggar looked somewhat defeated and acquiesced to the price. When he saw the room, he flipped out. He said that was not the pictures I had showed him. But I had told him that the room I had previously shown him in the photos was not available anymore. And then I made a mistake of mentioning the only room I still had available were a single room and the luxury apartment on the top floor. Of course, he then wanted an upgrade for the same price to the luxury apartment. After all, no one else was going to use it. I had not mentioned the luxury apartment before because it was for use of the owner and the people the owner allowed the use of it only. I told him that I was not allowed to give anyone that room. What followed was a 10-minute argument between choosing beggar, his pregnant wife, and me. They tried to convince and strong-arm me into letting them have the apartment for the same price or better yet, free. They threatened me with everything from calling my boss, whose number they did not have, to giving the hotel negative reviews online. When that didn't work, they tried to sweeten the deal with coupons for their own business, which was 400 kilometers away in another city. When bribing me with useless gifts didn't work, they told me the wife was pregnant and I should have a heart and give them the apartment. I declined and told them to leave. ChoosingBeggar then tried to argue it was 4 a.m. The night was nearly over anyway, so if I didn't give them the apartment, I should at least give them the small room for free, or at least a very low price. They would barely be using it anyway, and not even the whole night. I don't know how often other people came across that argument, but I heard it often enough during the night shift. I had enough. I told them to leave or I would call the cops. I canceled the room and kicked them out. They cursed me and told me that they would take their business to another more reasonable hotel. I had enough at that point. I was stressed, tired, and feeling petty. I knew most of the other night auditors and night shift people in the hotels around ours, which were most of the 4 stars in town. I shot every one of them an email with the names of the ChoosingBeggars and told people they were trying to scam a free room out of me. And I can with relative certainty say that those ChoosingBeggars did not get a room in any 4-star hotel that night. Oh man, it sure sucks to have to deal with hundreds of people like this throughout OP's entire career. On to the final story shared by u/Dino Crunch Berries. Cater everything for my birthday party and don't come. This is a story from my girlfriend. She is an extremely good cook, a lot in part to her upbringing. Her parents taught her how to make meals from an early age. She grew up vegetarian, so she learned how to make simple meals extraordinarily delicious. She lived with a strong meeting roommate for a few years. For about a year, she worked as a chef at an upscale cafe. A friend from college contacted her about catering a large-scale meal for about 10 people at her birthday party. She told my girlfriend that she should do it for free as her gift. Had she been willing to buy all of the food, I genuinely think that my girlfriend probably would have done it. Rather, she expected her to buy all of the food, including specifics such as sweet corn, rack ribs, etc. And the icing on top of this proverbial crap cake is that this party for 10 people was her exclusive birthday party and my girlfriend hadn't made the list. She could cater, but she was only allowed to the general birthday party prior to the special event where the special meal would be served. It genuinely baffles me how people are so entitled, spoiled, and just plain stupid. I'm really curious, what is this woman's occupation? My guess is an influencer. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.